The only way the ancient astronaut theory can be disproven is when the extraterrestrials show up and say we were never here in the past.
But behind the viral joke sits a person with a real career and a long marriage. He runs a show that outlasted almost every critic who predicted it would fail. So what really happened to the ancient aliens guy? And where does he stand today? We are digging into the truth. Long before the wild hair turned him into a punchline, Giorgio A. Tsoukalos was just a young man chasing curiosity. Born March 14, 1978 in Lucerne, Switzerland, to a Greek father and an Austrian mother. His early life held a strange cultural mix that eventually shaped his whole worldview. Moving between languages and traditions, he grew fascinated by ancient civilizations and global mysteries. That fascination never faded. It actually followed him across the ocean. In 1998, he graduated from Ithaca College in New York with a communications degree, a fitting field given how his career path eventually unfolded. Strange as it sounds, his first major job had nothing to do with extraterrestrial visitors. Between 1999 and 2007, he promoted bodybuilding competitions for the International Federation of Bodybuilding and Fitness. He even worked events tied to Mr. Olympia. Plus, he produced and directed the San Francisco Pro Grand Prix from 2001 to 2005. Imagine that. A man now famous for ancient astronaut theories spent years organizing muscle shows instead of dig sites. Through that same stretch, a quieter passion burned alongside the fitness work. From 1999 to 2008, he edited Legendary Times, a magazine focused on ancient astronaut research. The work was tied to Swiss author Erich von Däniken. That connection turned out to be far more important than anyone realized at the time. Eventually, Giorgio A became director of the Archaeology Astronautics and SETI Research Association. The group was built entirely around the theories of Erich von Däniken. Two worlds, fitness promotion and fringe archaeology, were quietly running in parallel. They were just waiting for the right moment to collide. That collision happened in 2009 when Ancient Aliens premiered on the History Channel. The show centered on the controversial idea that extraterrestrials visited Earth and steered human civilization. Giorgio A became the most consistent voice on the series. He returned season after season to argue that sites like the pyramids or the Nazca Lines held proof of advanced forgotten technology. He insisted that ancient humans could not have built these structures on their own. His energy on camera was impossible to miss. Calm answers just did not satisfy him. Instead, every theory came wrapped in intense dramatic certainty. Every single claim felt like a massive newly uncovered truth. By 2016, his role grew beyond just being an on-screen face. He became a co-executive producer, gaining real creative influence over the show. That shift was huge. A man who once promoted bodybuilding shows now held power over a major cable television series. Few career pivots look quite that dramatic. Outside of Ancient Aliens, Giorgio A kept his profile high across other networks. He hosted In Search of Aliens, a 2014 spin-off on H2 that explored everything from Atlantis to Nazi time travelers. The reviews were pretty rough. Critic Jason Colavito described the show as lacking a clear thesis. He argued that it failed to deliver even the standard consistency of other paranormal television. Colavito called the spin-off a total mess, no clear thesis in sight. He argued it lacked even the basic consistency found in other paranormal shows. That chilly reception did nothing to cool his momentum on the flagship series. It just kept on growing. It kept pulling in massive audiences season after season. His rise is genuinely fascinating, mostly because it seemed so unlikely from the outside looking in. A communications grad with a background in bodybuilding promotion didn't fit the typical image of someone destined to become the world's most recognizable face for ancient astronaut. Theories. There was no grand design here, no obvious path toward international fame. And yet the people who leave the deepest cultural footprints are often the ones nobody ever sees coming. He possessed a rare mix of charisma, total conviction, and a relentless curiosity for ideas that lived far beyond traditional explanations. It created a presence that television executives could never have manufactured, because real authenticity Even when controversial has a powerful way of pulling people in, the weirdest journeys often make the most unforgettable stories, and his life became proof of that. But his early career alone doesn't explain how he transformed from a television guest into one of the most instantly recognizable faces on the internet. That wild shift started with something almost absurdly simple, just one single screenshot. Television fame and internet fame rarely follow the same rules, and few examples show that gap better than what happened to Tsoukalos. Around November 2010, one still image from an Ancient Aliens episode began circulating on message boards, eventually landing on the 4chan random board before spreading rapidly across the early internet. That image caught him mid-gesture hair, standing dramatically on end hands, raised as if delivering the most important revelation of his entire life. With the caption, "I am not saying it was aliens," but the meme exploded. What made that meme so effective wasn't cruelty, it was recognition. People who had never watched a full episode instantly understood the joke because the image captured such a familiar tone. The tone of someone presenting wild speculation with total confidence. According to dictionary.com, the meme perfectly mimicked the conviction Tsoukalos used to frame far-fetched ideas as established facts. That description nailed why the format worked so well across completely unrelated topics. Missing keys, strange attic noises, or traffic jams. The punchline always landed the same way. Unlike many public figures who recoil from being the internet's target, Tsoukalos took a different approach, almost immediately. During a Reddit AMA in 2015, he admitted he loved the meme, calling it an honor to be embraced so widely by the online community. That response shocked plenty of people, who expected him to be annoyed. Instead, he leaned into his new identity, treating the meme less like mockery and more like free advertising for ideas he genuinely believed in. That willingness to embrace the joke opened doors that pure television exposure never could have. In 2021, he made a cameo on the SYFY comedy Resident Alien, playing a fictional version of himself hosting a convention panel dedicated entirely to ancient astronaut theory. The show's lead character referred to him on screen as that high-haired gentleman, a direct nod to the meme that defined his image for over a decade. He returned for a second cameo the following year, proving the crossover resonated enough to keep bringing him back. Few television personalities ever managed to become self-aware participants in their own internet mythology. Yet that is exactly the position he carved out. The period between June 2024 and May 2025, search data showed the Ancient Aliens meme template still attracted thousands of monthly searches for meme generators, according to figures from Kittle. Encyclopedia. That number really matters because internet memes typically fade within months, sometimes even weeks. A meme rooted in a 2010 screenshot maintaining relevance more than a decade. Later says something unique about staying power, especially for content built around one facial expression and such an iconic hairstyle. Reactions to that hair alone generated countless articles, and people debated him for years. Some focused on his style, others on his bizarre cultural reach. Yet every single piece acknowledged the same core truth. Regardless of what fans thought about ancient astronaut theory, the image of Tsoukalos presenting theories with such theatrical certainty stuck. It became a permanent fixture of internet culture, regardless of whether viewers watched as a joke or took the show seriously. That weird gap between meme status and television brings up a fascinating question about his identity. Does being a punchline kill your professional credibility, or does it build an entirely different kind of relevance that runs alongside your actual work? For Tsoukalos, it leans toward the second. Being a meme never slowed down production on Ancient Aliens or hurt his status as the face of the brand. If anything, the memes probably brought in younger viewers who otherwise never would have clicked on a History Channel program about ancient astronaut theory. That strange mix of mockery and genuine curiosity created something few ever sustain online, an endless loop of attention that just wouldn't die. They laughed, they debated, they shared clips, and they kept coming back for more. Somehow, his name kept circulating through different corners of the internet for over a decade, reaching people who had wildly different reasons for watching. But stay with me. Here, because this is where the story takes a turn that nobody saw coming. Viral screenshots and internet jokes only show part of the picture. Behind every meme, every reaction shot, and every viral clip that flooded social, media sat a much heavier conversation. And once that talk started, it never really quit. The scientific backlash became a massive story on its own. The backlash that never stopped following him. Fame built on fringe. Theories almost always invites heat, and few shows have faced more consistent fire from the scientific community than Ancient Aliens. Archaeologists, historians, and cosmologists have spent years pushing back against claims made on the series, often calling the episodes far-fetched, speculative, and built on claims that aliens wandered all over the ancient world. That criticism didn't target Tsoukalos alone, but his role as the face of the show put him right. In the middle of the fire, Kenneth Feder, an anthropologist with a doctorate in the field, became one of the loudest critics over the years. Talking to reporters in 2018, Feder argued that ancient astronaut theory relies on ignoring how ancient civilizations actually solved difficult engineering problems. His main argument centered on what scholars call temporal chauvinism, basically the insulting assumption that ancient people just lacked the smarts or grit to build wonders without help from someone else. Feder noted that real historians and engineers have already explained the construction methods for sites like Mayan temples, making alien intervention a leap of faith rather than a logical conclusion. Beyond engineering debates, deeper worries have surfaced about the racial undertones buried within ancient astronaut theory itself. According to Wikipedia, the Southern Poverty Law Center specifically called out the wider Ancient Aliens franchise for peddling what the organization labeled as racist pseudo-scholarship. The core issue highlights a disturbing trend. Achievements by non-European cultures, including Egyptian, South American, and Mesoamerican societies constantly get alien explanations, while similar European-y architectural feats rarely get the same treatment. Critics argue that this pattern subtly implies certain cultures were too primitive to achieve greatness alone, which carries some very uncomfortable baggage. Tsoukalos himself has never claimed academic credentials in archaeology, anthropology, or any related field. His educational background it stems from simple communication, not from excavation or actual peer review. That massive divide between real expertise and screen presence draws constant fire. Critics argue that sleek production values, plus a confident delivery, create a false sense of scholarly authority. Many viewers who do not know academic standards in archaeology might naturally assume that someone appearing so often as an expert on a history channel show actually holds the credentials to match that role. Critics consistently push back against that assumption. Even Giorgio Tsoukalos himself uses a catchphrase that reveals how the show frames its own content. The recurring line ancient astronaut theorists say yes presents wild speculation, dressed up as if it were a settled conclusion reached by a recognized community of experts. That phrasing choice lets the show hint at consensus without ever actually proving one. It is a common pattern that media literacy advocates have flagged repeatedly over the years. Language shapes how audiences interpret facts. Critics argue that framing choices like these blur the lines between entertainment and education, often misleading casual viewers. None of this heat seems to have changed the public approach taken by Giorgio Tsoukalos. He still defends the broader premise of ancient astronaut theory. Across interviews, podcasts, and convention panels, always arguing that mainstream science dismisses these possibilities way too quickly rather than looking into them seriously. Whether that confidence is genuine belief or just smart television, the end result remains the same. Academic criticism has followed the career of Giorgio Tsoukalos for well over a decade, yet it never managed to stop the momentum. Instead, something odd occurred. Scientific rejection and commercial success seemed to run side by side for years, like two totally different stories playing out at the exact same time. That weird balance between deep skepticism and massive staying power brings up a question many longtime fans have likely wondered about. Keep watching, this is where the conversation turns personal and where we find out exactly where things stand for him today, where Giorgio Tsoukalos stands right now. After more than 15 years tied to the same franchise, questions about longevity naturally surface. Shows fade, stars move on, and audiences shift their attention toward newer content constantly. Yet as of 2026, Giorgio Tsoukalos remains firmly attached to Ancient Aliens, which has lasted far longer than anyone predicted when it first premiered. The series hit its 22nd season, with new episodes airing on the Histories channel as recently as early 2026, according to show listings on Rotten Tomatoes. That milestone places the show among the longest-running documentary-style series in cable history. A truly massive achievement regardless of how you feel about the underlying content. The road to that milestone has not been entirely smooth. Scheduling gaps and delayed premieres became much more noticeable lately, with reports that the History Channel pulled certain new episodes from the schedule in early 2026, replacing them temporarily with reruns of unrelated programming. Despite those hiccups, the franchise keeps producing fresh content instead of vanishing, suggesting the network still views the series as commercially viable even as competition for eyeballs grows across streaming platforms. Details about his personal life stay quiet compared to his television persona. Giorgio Tsoukalos married Crix Biebel on March 10, 2013, a glass artist and designer who founded her own studio Crix Biebel Creations back in 2006. She crafts pieces using borosilicate glass, metal, and leather making. Unique designs including items like the Wormed Universe ring, reflecting a shared love for cosmic themes, even though she has never publicly called herself a believer in ancient astronaut theory. The couple keeps their relationship away from the tabloids, with zero public reports of separation or major dramas surrounding their marriage. They currently reside in Los Angeles, California, a fact confirmed across multiple profiles covering his private life. Professionally, his role has only grown over time, never shrinking. Beyond his regular on-screen role, his position as co-executive producer grants him real power. He now shapes upcoming seasons, picks the topics, and decides which expedition sites get the spotlight. He claims he has visited almost every major location tied to those ancient astronaut theories worldwide. That kind of fieldwork, no matter what skeptics think of the underlying ideas, shows a genuine dedication, not just a passing television fad. Outside the main show, his reach spans podcasts, fan conventions, and guest appearances everywhere. He has popped up on massive platforms like Coast to Coast AM and The Joe Rogan Experience. That reach keeps him connected to fans far beyond the standard cable crowd. That visibility is crucial in 2026, with streaming and podcast habits now dominating our culture. A man who started on cable TV managed to stay relevant across formats that did not even exist before. It is quite a shift in how fame actually works. His net worth, pegged at around $4 million, shows the result of nearly 20 years of work. This represents a slow accumulation of steady paychecks from TV and public appearances. No single massive payday here, just years of consistent grinding. That number puts him in a solid spot for a niche television personality. He sits well below the A-list stars, but he is doing better than most in the fringe media space. So where is the man behind one of the internet's biggest memes today? He is still at it, still pushing his theories, still on camera with that same dramatic intensity that made him a star. The former bodybuilding promoter turned theorist never actually left the stage. He just kept layering his career season after season. Interview after interview, meme after meme, he proved that strange paths can lead to lasting success. It happens when conviction, timing, and a unique personality finally click into place. Tell us what you think about this wild story in the comment section. Smash that like button and subscribe for more deep dives, just like this one.